into our first forward fold. Taking a generous bend through your knees. You might play here with bringing the weight into your toes and back into your heels. And then find somewhere in the middle that is comfortable for you. Somewhere that you feel that you can sustain for about 2 minutes. So in our yin practice, we're wanting to support our body as much as possible. In this shape, we're supporting ourselves with a firm foundation through our feet, a generous bend in the knees, and maybe your hands just flop down to the ground. In the rest of our postures today, we're going to be supporting ourselves with a shape, pillows, blankets, whatever you have nearby. Perhaps joining me in deepening your breath, feeling the expansion of your belly, rib cage, and chest against your thighs. And allowing the crown of your head to release down to the ground and your hips to lift up to the ceiling. Breathing here. Observing the breath, the rhythm of your breath, and the quality in this strange shape. This is our first shape, and it is one that rounds the spine. We're going to be moving the spine in all of its 6 directions today. Let's stay here together for about another 20 seconds or a couple breaths. Then perhaps guiding your fingertips onto the ground, bending your knees as much as you need to guide those fingertips to the ground, and then walking them forward, bringing one knee to the mat, and then the other. We'll come to a seated place, perhaps grabbing a pillow or two to sit on. And taking your time, coming to a seated place. And you can sit however you want to. Legs out in front of you, legs crossed, whatever feels best in your body. And just take a moment to observe the remnants of that first shape, that first experience. To notice the change in your breath now that you're seated. Let's take a breath in together. And a sigh out the mouth. Before moving into our next yin shape, it might be nice to release the neck. So you can guide your fingertips out to the side, and if you'd like to join me in a neck stretch, you can guide your right ear to your right shoulder. Now, yes, I'm here to be your yin yoga teacher today, to guide you through a flow for your spine. But really, think of me as a guide full of suggestions. This is your body, your practice, your experience. It's entirely up to you which shapes you want to do, which meditations you want to partake in, which breath work you want to perform. You can skip anything I suggest and just be here for the energy of being with people. Or you can add in poses or shapes or breath work that you know that you love and enjoy. Let's guide our necks back to center and the left ear to left shoulder. Perhaps here lengthening the inhale and lengthening the exhale. Perhaps asking yourself, can you feel your chest rise and fall with the breath? Can you feel the expansion of the ribs or not? Let's come back to center. Taking a breath in and a breath out. Wonderful. In a moment, I'm going to invite you down to the floor with me, but I want to make sure that you have what you need before you get there.
I think today I'm going to use a longer pillow. Now, if you don't have a longer pillow, it's fine. You can do this practice with 0 props. They're not necessary. But I really, really like them, and I really, really suggest them. If you don't have a longer pillow, you can always use a blanket, and you can roll up this blanket to be somewhat bulky and long. All right. Once you have what you would like to use, then you can join me in making your way down onto your belly. I'm going to turn this up so it's on its tallest setting, and set up my hands so that they are in front of this pillow and then coming down onto the belly. Well, it's common to wiggle and adjust when you first enter a shape. You want to make sure that your hips are comfortable and that the tops of your feet are on the mat. From here, we're going to wiggle and adjust and bring our elbows right underneath of the shoulders and the forearms directly out from the elbows. You might be able to hear my dog snoring in the corner. I never know how sensitive the headphones are, but just in case you can, and just in case you're wondering, I do have a small dog on the couch having a little snooze. Now, this is a great time to ask yourself, how is my body feeling in this shape? What would be nourishing and nurturing to me? You might decide that you like the amount of sensation and feedback in your low back, and then that's what your body is needing today. You might decide that it's a little much, and if you want to lessen the sensation, you'll walk your hands and your forearms and your elbows further away from your body forward. Okay, those are your options. Now, if you have yoga props at home and you're using them, you might have a block right in front of your forehead for your head to rest on. If you don't, you might use your hands bending at the elbows, maybe interlacing the hands and allowing your forehead to rest gently into the hands. You might enjoy allowing your head to be heavy and the back of your neck to lengthen. Just take a few moments to check in with your body, maybe try out a few of my suggestions, and then pick the one that feels the most nurturing. Not the hardest one, not the one with the most sensation, but the one that feels the most nurturing. I'm going to set my timer. You'll often see me do that in this class. Here, I'd like to invite you to observe your breath. Noticing the rhythm of your breath, and perhaps comparing that to our first shape. Noticing what's similar, what's different. And in this shape, can you feel your chest rise and fall? Can you feel your rib cage expand in all 4 directions, front, back, and sides? And can you feel your belly expand and contract? Perhaps now encouraging your breath to lengthen, encouraging each inhale to be a little longer, a little smoother, and a little softer than the breath before. Perhaps taking a moment to observe how you're feeling. One of the key principles of yin yoga is to play your edge. When we got into the pose, I asked you to pick a place that's nurturing. And it's common in this shape and in many others for that sensation to evolve, to change. Some days it might get stronger, some days it might ease off. So you might play with bringing your hands a little further away from you now. If you want to ease off the sensation, you could even remove this pillow underneath of you altogether and come to be somewhat flat on your belly, stacking your hands and stacking your forehead on your hands. Alternatively, you might choose to bring your forearms a little closer towards your body, intensifying the sensation, or perhaps even bending the knees. I like to bring my knees a little wide and let my feet fall into each other so that they support themselves. Choose what feels right in your body. Finding your new edge, perhaps staying with the first one. And as you've probably figured, we hold for time. And as we hold for time, we work towards stillness. Perhaps even making a resolution to be still. And that doesn't mean that you cannot move. It means that you wait, you listen, you notice the urges to fidget, to look at the time, to grab some water, to adjust your clothing or hair. And you observe these urges to move. You ask yourself if they're necessary or why they're coming up. And then you mindfully choose whether or not you want to follow through with the movement or stay as you are. Stillness in the body is like setting up the environment to hopefully lead your mind to still waters or a sense of calm. Now that could take time and practice. If it doesn't happen right away, know that that's okay and it's normal. I'm going to offer you some silence over the next minute before I guide you out of the shape. Please join me in taking a breath in and a breath out. I'll slowly begin to remove any props that are in front of you. Make your way down either directly onto your belly, resting your forehead on your hands, or perhaps onto your side in a bit more of a fetal position. Giving yourself permission to have a neutral spine. And take a few thoughtful breaths, breathing into your belly, rib cage, and chest. Breathing out chest, ribs, belly. And again, belly, ribs, chest, Breathing out, chest, ribs, belly. And in your own time, slowly, 20% slower than what you want to move. Make your way first to both hands, and then up to seated on your right hip. I'm sitting on the right hip. We'll move into our twists. I'm going to bring my right shin in front of me, my left knee out to the side. Now, you're welcome to simply return to your right and fold all the way down here onto the mat if you're choosing to practice without any props today. If you are using props, you might think about stacking several pillows. I've got 3 stacked up here. And then slowly rolling down onto your pillows into a comfortable position. Once again, I'm setting my timer. As I mentioned, today's class is about the health of your spine. And that we be moving our spine in all 6 directions. We began with a forward fold. We just finished a back bend. And we're moving into a twist to the right, and then we'll do a twist to the left, ending with a side bend in both directions, and then Shavasana. Moving our spine in all 6 directions is so important. Some days that looks like a few stretches before you're even out of bed. Some days that looks like partaking in a more high intensity activity. Maybe it's a vinyasa flow class, or maybe it's a different activity that you enjoy. And other days it looks like a slow, gentle progression through a yin practice or a restorative practice. It doesn't matter how you do it. I shouldn't say that. It doesn't matter what activity you do it through. It matters that you do it. And that you honor yourself and your body as you do it. When we move our spine in all 6 directions, we squish around the intervertebral discs, encouraging displacement of the synovial fluid, which keeps our spine and all of its joints lubricated. We also pull on many threads of our fascia. Our fascia is our connective tissue, keeping mobility at the center of our body, and having that mobility radiate outwards. Let's take another breath here together. And slowly begin to press yourself all the way back up, nice and slow. Perhaps taking a breath up at the top. And then we'll begin to switch sides. When you're ready, you can bring your hands behind you, your feet in front of you. Maybe kind of windshield wiper them out a little side to side. Maybe you turn to face your pillows, or maybe you switch which side they're on, like I'm going to do. We're now sitting over to the left hip, having the left shin in front of you and the right knee just out to the side. I'm resetting my clock. We'll turn all the way to the left. You might notice right away that it feels similar or different to the other side. Let's take a breath in here. And as you breathe out, folding forward over top of your pillows. Now, as you rest in this position, I'm going to approach the screen and just talk a little bit more about breath. I just wanted to come over to acknowledge all of you, to see you all, and say hello again. Now, in these next few minutes in this shape, I'd like to encourage you to focus in on your breath. We've been, throughout the practice, noticing and observing this expansion in the body, in the chest, ribs, and belly. But in this twist, I want to challenge you. Can you focus on expanding the belly, the ribs, and the chest? And as you breathe out, can you focus on lengthening your exhale, smoothing out the exhale, and softening the exhale. Taking a final breath just as you are. And then very slowly, very mindfully pressing yourself up onto your hands and making your way down onto your back. Now, if you like to have pillows under your legs during your final resting posture, I would put them under now. Slowly making your way down onto your back. And right away, bring your feet flat on the floor, knees to the ceiling. Lift your hips up and over to the left side, and then draw your feet down to the bottom right corner. Now you have the option to cross your ankles, and then lifting your head and shoulders up and over to the right if you would like more sensation. Your hands can stay at your sides or over your head. And once again, I'll be setting my timer. In this shape, can you breathe deeply into your belly, ribs, and chest? Take a long, slow exhale. And as you do so, can you get curious about how the breath is similar, how the breath is different in this shape compared to the others? Let's take a breath in together. And a breath out. Gently begin to guide your feet flat on the floor, knees to the ceiling. Then bring your whole spine back into alignment. Inviting a breath in and a sigh out. Lifting your hips up and over to the right, your feet to the bottom left, maybe crossed, maybe not. Your head and shoulders up and over to the left, and settling in the other side. exploring the expansion of your breath and what effect it has on the shape, on your side body. Taking a breath in and a breath out. Getting your head and shoulders back to center. And then just moving your hips over to center, extending your legs out long. Maybe extending your arms out to the side. Maybe even guiding your fingertips to the top of your shoulders, right next to that big vertebrae where your neck and shoulders meet. And then guide your fingertips onto the muscles beside your spine. Gently roll your fingers up along those muscles to the base of your head. Tuck your chin under, lengthen the back of your neck, and lower the base of your head onto the ground. And find a comfortable position for your hands. Please stay as you are. Know that I'm going to be rolling over and making my way up to seated for a second. Now, if you absolutely need to go, I want to respect your time and let you know that we've just spent 30 minutes together. But if you have the time and space, give yourself the gift of rest. Give yourself that honor. Stay and rest for ideally 5 to 7 minutes or longer. But if you can only stay for the count of 8 breaths, then do that. Namaste.